Mariners lose 4-3. They dropped the final game of the three-game series against Toronto. They do win the series, but they fall to 50-49. Quickly go over how it happened. Second inning, Mike Ford homers to drive in Big Dumper to make it 2-0. Bryan Woo gives up a homer in the fourth to Vladdy Jr., who is now homered twice in T-Mobile Park after having never homered there before to tie the game at 2. Brandon Belt homers in the sixth to make it 3-2. Dylan Moore singles home Big Dumper again to make it 3-3. In the seventh, Espinal singles home Whit Merrifield, and that makes it 4-3. Mariners are not able to push across a run. We will talk about that ninth inning, of course. Disappointing. Espinal is just fun to say. Santiago Espinal. That's a fun name. Not a fun end of this game. I thought all three of these games were terrific. I think if you were fortunate enough to be in Safeco Field for these games, not correcting it, you had a blast. You had to have, because all of these games were just unbelievable. Two very evenly matched teams. And I think that's good news for the Mariners, because I know Toronto, if you talk to Toronto fans, they're frustrated by how this season has gone. But they're a good baseball team. They are a very good baseball team. It's good that Seattle played up to their quality. It's also bad that even with this, I feel much better about the Seattle Mariners now than I did at the end of last week, and that's for dang sure, or the middle of last week. Still a 5-5 homestand. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough. I feel better, but it's not acceptable. Got to play better on a more consistent basis. Tonight was a prime example of it, because this game was ever so winnable. Let's talk about some positives. Nice to see Cal Raleigh reach twice. He's swinging the bat much better. Mike Ford, homers and walks. There's only 2 chances. I don't have a problem with him being lifted as soon as a left-hander comes in. He has no shot against them. There are just some guys who just have no shot against left-handed pitching. He's one of them. Any other offensive positives? Not really. No. They were, especially after that homer, they were not very good. Especially after that homer, they were not very good. Also positives in the pitching. The bullpen was very good. Just gives up 2 hits over 3 scoreless innings. And let's get to Bryan Woo. I thought Bryan Woo pitched really well yesterday. I think he had pretty good command, really good control, pretty good command. Was missing bats, was getting ahead in counts. Ultimately, he ends up giving up 4 runs in 6 innings. Here's my issue. This is not my favorite Scott Service game. I don't understand bringing Woo out for the 7th inning. You give up that homer to Belt in the 6th. And yeah, he was pitching okay. It was clearly timed, in my opinion, to pull. Give him 6 innings of 3-run baseball in a tie game. I get that your bullpen has been overworked. And some of that is not really Scott Service's fault. But asking him as a rookie to go through that lineup again, that Toronto lineup there the 3rd time, flawed as it may be right now, still very talented, was a mistake. I don't get it. Have Saucedo come in there with a clean start. Or somebody else with a clean start. I will say I did like using Sewald in that situation. Heart of the lineup. Biggest portion of the game. Don't save him for a chance that may not exist. In fact, it didn't exist. That I liked. Leaving Woo in there is not something I enjoyed. I thought it was a pretty big mistake. All right, let's talk about that 9th inning, because I know a lot of you are frustrated by it, and I totally understand it. I'm going to pull up the play-by-play. Also, really quickly, just want to apologize how late this one is. Had a long Sunday, and then just going to be honest with you, I slept in today. Didn't have any work assignments to do, and woke up at 10 a.m. Pretty nice to do sometimes. All right. So let's talk about that ninth inning. All right. Moore gets hit. Moore steals second. Shows off that wheel. Wong walks. You got first and second, nobody out. Crawford sacrifices. Julio strikes out swinging. Suarez flies out to left. Now you're going to think that my biggest problem was Julio struck out swinging, and I understand that. I do. In the late game situations this year, Julio has been bad. However, my biggest issue is giving up an out. If the game was tied at 3 and you just needed that run to win and you know you're going to play more baseball, I don't hate sacrificing. When you are down a run and you literally have to score in order to do it, giving up an out, it's proven mathematically a terrible decision. I didn't read anything about whether or not that was bunted. That was a sacrifice that Crawford did on his own. Somebody screwed up. Somebody screwed up. I hate that decision. I hate it. I get it. You should expect Julio and Suarez to be one of the two to be able to do something positive. But when you're down one and you only have 3 outs to play with, it doesn't make sense for me to sacrifice there. Really didn't like that decision. As confident as I am in Julio, especially in the long term, and I still have confidence in him in the short term. Makes so much hard contact and has shown some real flashes. But he is a guy who struggles with contact right now. It doesn't make sense to me to leave it up to that. Stinks. However, and everybody wants to blame the ninth inning too. However, was probably the wrong word choice there. I will also just say it's not the reason they lost the game. You lost the game because outside of that Mike Ford homer, your offense was inept today. It was bad. It was a bad showing. And you know, I feel good again about this team. That what they showed. But I feel like missing out on this sweep is going to be something that I think about for a while. Because unfortunately, the way baseball works, you outplayed the Blue Jays for the overwhelming majority of this series. But you only pick up one game. That's it. You only pick up one. That's disappointing. That's just the way it works, though. Still a lot of baseball left to be played. And I think the overall takeaway should be how good they looked in over these 3 games and how much fight they showed in these 3 games. It sucks that it ends this way. Like, how much better do you feel? Let's say this game happened on Saturday and Saturday's game happened on Sunday. Like, how much better do you feel? For me, I think it would be massively different. That's just the way that's the way our teeny tiny brains work. My teeny tiny brain, anyway. You guys probably have normal sized working brains. I've always got to be self deprecating. Yeah, just a couple of decisions tonight that really bugged me, and they hurt. They're not why they lost though, because you've just got to put together more competitive at bats. Got to put together more competitive at bats. This is a big old road trip coming up. Biggest of the year by far, and they'll get bigger, but I'm not gonna. I'm not doing any hyperbolics here. These are unbelievably big games against good baseball teams. 3 in Minnesota, 3 in Arizona, where it is just stupid hot right now. You got to win these series. You have to win these series. Man, a sweep would have been nice. Gosh. Right there. Right there. Just couldn't get the big hits and a couple of decisions that I really didn't like. But what a terrific baseball game again. All 3 of those games, I'm going to say it again, were just awesome. If I was a neutral party, I would love to see those 2 teams meet again in the postseason. And they just might. They just might. As a not neutral fan whatsoever, please no. Please no for a few reasons. Number 1, these games are going to murder me. Number 2, I like Toronto. I know everybody gets so frustrated that they come and watch these games down here. I don't blame them at all. It's their one chance if you're living in Vancouver or if you're living in the British Columbia. Come on down. Blame the Mariner fans who sell them their tickets if you want. But come on down. We're glad to have you. I know that's not how everybody feels. I don't care. I think it's great. I think it's really fun. But anyway, I like Toronto. I think that's a really fun team. It's a beautiful city. It's actually a beautiful city I've never been to, but I know it's beautiful. Good people. It's fun. They're fun people. It's a fun team. I don't want to play them anymore, though. I'm glad we don't have to play the Blue Jays again until October at the earliest. Because all of those games have just been phenomenal. Phenomenal. Today, we've got Luis Castillo against Kenta Maeda. I think that's a rematch. Maybe not. I can't remember who Castillo faced, but he's got to work. Got to work because these are just unbelievably important games. It's also weird that they, just looking at the schedule, they play 6 on the road, then they go for 3 at home, and then another 4-game series on the road again. That's kind of odd. Of course, it's against the Angels, which is not exactly the longest road trip, but Mariners don't have short road trips. Everything has a little bit of a distance. Sweep would have been nice. Follow me on Twitter at Crawford_MILB. I am not calling it X. Holy crap, that's a bad decision. Follow me on Blue Sky at Crawford Chris V. Sports Sometimes podcast. Check out the latest episode with Kyler McDaniel. I'm going to do a new episode on Thursday with my good friend Mike Bauman of Fangraphs. He's awesome. He'll be fun. I'm really excited to see because he's got a mind like me where he has a bunch of interests. I'm really curious to see what he picks for the second half of the show. And the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball podcast, which comes out every single day. But especially check out those weekend episodes because that's what I play host. Really appreciate it. So close to a sweep.